with that right calf injury, but he is progressing, and there is momentum that he will return in this series, and it could be as soon as Game 4 Monday in Indiana.
Okay, so that could be good news if you want to look glass half full, that at some point in the series she's going to be back, eyeing that Game 4. Woj, thank you so very much. This is huge, though, right, when you're talking about the Indiana Pacers, because they are a team that thrives in the paint. And who is one of the best paint defenders in the NBA? Oh, yeah, it's Kristaps Porzingis. So, Stephen A., how important is it that they get a healthy Kristaps back this series?
Well, without him, they ain't winning. They win the championship. They'll get to the finals. I think they'll get to the finals. I think that Indiana will give them a very competitive series, but Boston will win the series. You are not beating Minnesota or Dallas in the NBA Finals without Kristaps Porzingis. He's 7'3". He's a three-point shooter, but primarily he's a shot blocker that allows you to depending too much on Al Horford, who's approaching, I think, 38 years of age.
Yes.
You've got to monitor that. Listen, Tatum, Brown, Holiday, White, etc. We get all of that. But if you can exploit the interior of Boston because you've got some size and some athleticism and you've got a guy that's a shot blocker that's not in there, like a Kristaps Porzingis, I think that drastically affects Boston's chances. They need him to win the chip.
I think saying it, I'm going to say the same thing. He's the difference between a championship and a second-place finish is what he is. And you don't like to put that on one guy, and we talk about the effect of the whole team, but he makes them a championship team. I think without him, they're not. And no team in the history of the league, and you're the historian, has a team ever won a championship with a key player missing? I don't think so, unless you can remember.
Well.
It never happens.
By halftime.
Think about it.
Go back. That's a great.
It never happens.
Well, Magic in a game played center for Kareem, but not
one game.
Not a series.
Yeah, he missed one game, right? So he missed one game. Kareem.
Game 6.
So I'm talking about being out for a playoff series. It's in the finals. The teams are too good. Whether it's Dallas or Minnesota, they're too good.
As an executive, let me cut you off just to ask you this: the gamble with getting Porzingis in the first place. We talked about this back in the preseason. Was this missing time? What did he play with the Wizards a couple of years ago? Like 36 games? So the calculus on this with Porzingis was going to be as impactful as he is. And Stephen A., I agree with you, particularly against Minnesota. Yeah. They've got to have Porzingis if they wind up running against
You're already anointing Minnesota.
No, watch
but I'm looking at Gafford and Lowry.
Gafford and Lowry doesn't matter. But this is part of the calculus, is it not?
It is part of the calculus, but you got Tatum healthy, Brown healthy, White, Holiday. You can take a risk. He might be the risk on the roster. You don't want three guys that could get hurt.
But this also isn't their first game playing without him.
No.
Just know that. So they already know how to play without it.
Right. So let's dive in maybe a little bit more to the Celtics' defensive strategy, particularly on Tyrese Halliburton, right, without Kristaps Porzingis here, because this could decide the series. What are you looking at there, Chris?
Right. So with Porzingis, right, there's a lot of length, right, when he comes out on the ball screens and all of this. But it's going to be interesting to see with Al. They're going to be switching. Their defense will be a little bit different.
He led the league. Halliburton in points per possession.
Right, so in this play right here, you look at Al Horford. He's orchestrating the defense, talking. If you watch Boston, they're always communicating. They play with their hands on you, and they're directing everything. Al Horford, what he may lack in athleticism, he makes up for in awareness. He's talking. Right here, he comes up on the ball screen. He's talking. They're switching, directing everywhere, every player on the court. So now he comes out, he contests, they get the rebound, and this is why Boston has played the same way all season. They have played with the same intensity night in and night out. This season, when we played them with the Warriors, it was one of our hardest games because they played with the intensity like they were trying to play for a championship.
Forgive me for asking for this education.
You don't have to forgive.
I need to be educated. I understand, appreciate the astute basketball analysis. But damn it, last time I checked, Drew Holiday, he's supposed to be an elite defender.
Oh, he is?
Derek White, he's supposed to be an elite defender. Those are two backcourt individuals. And this dude, Halliburton, is basically just a ride. He's a baby in the NBA. I'm just saying, I understand what Boston is bringing. I understand what Indiana is bringing to the table. I understand everything you just dissected about Al Horford and the rest of their team collectively. We've seen the energy and intensity they play with throughout the season and being a second-ranked defense. But I'm looking for Drew Holiday and Derek White. Wait a minute now. Yeah. Halliburton can't do what he did in Game 6 and 7.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I saw what Lou Dort was doing on Doncic.
Yep.
He was not getting screened.
Right.
Holiday's pretty good at that. So the question is, as a player, when you're playing that point of attack position, how hard is it to not get that switch and stay on Halliburton?
It's tough, but Drew is one of the best in the league at it. right? He competes every possession. He knows when to get over the screen, when to get under the screen. Derek White, right? He's been a defender. All these guys are more than capable, but as you're going to see in the game, they're going to keep screening, keep trying to create mismatches so that both teams can play at that pace. But Drew is tough.
But when he talks about the switcher, think about Boston here. Drew Holiday, 6'5", about 6'5". Derek White, about 6'5", 6'6". Jaylen Brown, about 6'7". Jason Tatum, about 6'8". So I'm like, no matter what kind of switching you try to induce, Boston has the athletes that can match up with practically anybody, which is why their defense was so elite this year. Am I right?
Yeah, but you'll see Al Horford sometimes will probably be up at the point of the screen, right? Okay. Drew them a fight over. And what you do is sometimes you'll call late red, right? So that's late switch. So if a guy feels like he can't get back in front, he just calls the red and they switch. But the guards and all these guys in Boston, they're so strong, right? So mismatches are not a problem. JT can guard in the post, Jaylen, Derek White, all these guys. So it's going to come down to who wants it more.
And that's what it all comes down to. Speaking of Derek White, I mean, he was signing some autographs for fans before the game. They're used to this stage. He knows this moment. Remember, Derek White has 4 20-point games this postseason.
He's giving me some coverage. I mean, he see that hairdo he had last year, then he went bald. Maybe I'll do it. I mean, it's a lot of coverage.
Is that a guarantee?
I mean, I'm not guaranteeing. It's possible. It's possible.
Or you need to discuss this.
Talked about enough unless you're in NBA locker rooms. Everybody knows how important they are. Derek White is an unbelievable player, but TJ, the plays that he makes that are winning plays, he's the best in the league doing the Pablo Prigioni steal where you're trying to inbound the ball and he sneaks around and he steals the ball. And then he's just a winner. He's just a winner, somebody I got a lot of respect for.
Not to mention White as well as Holiday. They were named to an all-defensive, second-team all-defensive today. So with that in mind, Stephen A., who you got in this series?
I got Boston. I got Boston winning this series 6 games. I'm going to show Indiana respect and give them 2 games in this series.
Wait, are we picking the winner of the series or this game?
I thought she just
okay, I just want to make sure.
I thought she just no,
it's fine.
No, I appreciate the
I didn't know if we were answering the series or the game.
I answer questions.
I know you did.
I answer questions.
I just want to know.
I don't sit up here, you know what I'm saying?
For what I'm going to say.
If you ask me a question, I'm going to give you the answer. You want the game? Go to the game. Their game, Boston will win this game. Damn it, they win the series. Okay? And here's the deal. I just look at them defensively, and I think that this time of year, defense obviously wins championships. We know that, and we know that Boston's an elite defensive team. Just think about the matchups. You literally can take, at times, if you want to, you could take a Drew Holiday and put him on a Miles Turner. You could take a Jason Tatum and put him on a Halliburton. The versatility of Boston's defense, no matter what you throw at them, if you're Indiana, is what I'm paying attention to. I know they could score, but they're the ones who can defend. I can rely on Boston's defense more than I can rely on Indiana's defense. That's why I'm going with Boston to win this game.
There's not one category where I'm going to pick the Pacers over the Celtics. We talk about matchups. You can talk about strengths. You can talk about there's nothing there. I will say this, though. And we saw in the last round, Rick Carlisle knows how to motivate a team. He knew how to take the temperature of that team.
That's the reason.
After a battle. That's what I'm saying. I'm setting that aside and saying, here's a guy with a championship ring, Rick Carlisle. Yep. Here's a guy who played. Remember, he's a Celtic. People may not know that because it's been a minute ago.
I didn't know that.
Oh, Celtic. Played with Bird, McHale, Parrish, Ainge, and Dennis Johnson.
No doubt.
So Rick Carlisle understands these situations. He understands this context specifically. But I'm going to go with Boston tonight in the series. But Rick Carlisle.
Was that enough time for you, Bob, to make tonight your pick?
I'm going with the Pacers.
Okay.
But if it had been who's going to win the series, which I'm not going to answer, I might have had a different question or thought or answer on that. But look, I agree. Statistically, the Celtics are a premium team. I mean, they've done it all year long. They've done it in the playoffs. I just think these game ones can be tricky and different. People call them feel-out games. I don't know. I didn't play, but you're trying to figure out. It's like a boxing match, round one.
Definitely is, especially because I said the regular season games didn't matter because there's different players, there's different guys in the lineup. So this is definitely going to be interesting to see what the matchups look like. Are you switching? What's your offense that you're running?
And he's right. And I think the Pacers are going to score. Right? I believe that. I think we all believe. Pacers have been scoring all year, but
everybody.
But can they stop?
I appreciate
Celtics?
Wilbon bringing up Rick Carlisle because it reminds us that even though he's obviously done a highly respectable job, Mr. Mazzulla, Coach Mazzulla's got something to prove. Can he get it done? He's going up against a champion in Coach Rick Carlisle, who knows what he's doing. We'll see.
The Pacers, they're 2-5 on the road this postseason. They're undefeated at home, but remember, Boston's only losses in the postseason have come at home. Stephen A., you asked, you receive. New users get a bet reset up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win.
I don't know about me right here, but that's a good-looking brother on that screen right there. I don't know about me, but that brother right there don't look bad.
I do know that ESPN Bet is the only place to find exclusive offers from your favorite ESPN shows and personalities, which is why we put Stephen A.'s mug up there.
It'll generate more money for you than Big Perk's photo.